Good morning and welcome back. We're going to talk today, as you can see, about the poppy and where it originated, how it started out and where it ended up. And it'll be in two parts, where it started and then a part where it came into the modern day. Now, it was a Lieutenant Colonel McRae, who was a surgeon with the artillery, First World War, with the Allied forces. And a friend of his went out and got killed. Now, the story goes that McRae was looking over the battlefield, and there was nothing but poppies covered the whole plain in front of him. And he sat down and he wrote the poem in Flanders Field. And I think it's the fourth or fifth verse is used every Armistice Sunday, where it states, "They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them." And that was a part of his poem. Now, once the poem got out and it got well said, there's a lady, and her name was, I'm just looking by her because I want to get her right. It's Moira. Moira Mitchell. And she was an American. And she started to use the symbol of the poppy in America, and she tried to get the upper house and people in Pentagon to accept the symbol of the poppy in recognition of the war dead. At the same time, there was also people in Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom trying to do it. And there was this lady, I don't know if I can pronounce her last name correctly, and it was Anna Guerin, who was French. And she decided that the best way to get the poppies out was to sell them on the streets in London. And as a coincidence, she met Field Marshal Haig, and he wanted to know what she was doing, why she was doing it, and she explained to him what was happening, and he went and took the poppy as the emblem. Now, with Field Marshal Haig, there was also a bombardier, Thomas Frederick Lister. Now, when he came out of the army, on medical grounds, he was injured, he seen the destitution of veterans, of the widows, and everybody that would come back home, people, families living in the woods, and you're talking about the Birkenhead area. Families living in the streets, veterans begging for food. So what he done, he got in touch, and there was the local TA centre, and he asked if he could take that over. And because it wasn't used, and the reason he wanted to do it was to try to get the veterans off the streets. And he went around begging for beds or anything like that. And then he went to the local brewery, because the best anaesthetic is beer. And the brewery went and donated X amount of barrels to him to be put in the hall. That was the start of the Veterans Organisation. And he also went to some demolished houses and went to the owner and said, if we take the houses over, we will do them up, and once they're done up, we will pay rent. But they can only be used for veterans and veterans' widows and ones with children. And he said, this businessman said yes. And he went in, Leicester, and he started scrounging wood and stuff like this. And he had the veterans to work in it. And the houses got turned over into a modern structure that you could live in. He also went and got a couple of suits. So when the veterans put in for jobs, he supplied the suits for the interviews. And when they got the job, if it was a builder or something like that they needed tools, he went and supplied the tools to them. And one of the conditions was that when they got their wages, that they put in a donation to the organisation. And out of this donation, funds built up, and all veterans were going to him, and he started taking over other things. And there was 3 organisations that were basically in charge. I've got them written down here because I want to get them right. There was the National Association of Discharged Soldiers and Sailors, and Lister was a part of this. The British National Federation of Discharged and Demobilised Sailors and Soldiers, and the Comrades of the Great War and the Officers Association were another organisation. And one part that they were trying to get, and I didn't realise this, is because of the number of troops that was injured, was killed and moved out, the MOD and the government of the day decided that they would fetch in a law or fetch in an act that any veteran that was demobbed through injury as an invalid would be called forward, would have another medical, and the doctors were advised to see that they were fit, and then they sent them back out to the front. And they were campaigning that once they'd been there, been injured and discharged, they shouldn't be sent back out there. And these organisations come together, and after they talked and debated and all that, they brought up a constitution. There were 700 delegates who all voted for it. And then they approached the Prince of Wales, and he was invited to become the British Legion's first patron. Earl Haig was appointed as the British Legion's first president, and Frederick Lister, national chairman. And that is how the Legion came in. And the poppies and the poppy factory in 1921 was accepted, and that is the start of the poppies. I never knew that it started in America with campaigns in Australia, UK, Canada. So there's a lot of nationalities involved, so it's not purely British, it's multi. Thomas Lister, he became the first chairman of the Legion. Now the average height of a British soldier, World War I, was 5'4" to 5'7", 32-inch chest, weighed about 8 stone. Thomas Lister, on his documents, was 6 foot 6 inches tall. That's a big bloke, especially when you've got little ones at the side of you in a trench. Word is, keep your head down. So that basically is the start of the poppies. Now, I've heard people saying that the poppy's got to be worn on this side, got to be worn on that side, or got to be worn in the middle. On the next part, when we come in, I will tell you the facts about wearing a poppy. And if everybody sings from the same orchestra or choir, we'll all get it right. So I'm going to switch off then, or switch off now, and come back and I'll explain about the rules or the facts of a poppy. Okay, thank you very much, and I hope that you'll be at the monuments in Britain, because there's only 2 cenotaphs, and I'll tell you who the 2 are in the next part. Thank you very much.